be looking at marketing plan. So I'll just hand over to you, Lucy, because I know you were going to do the first
Yeah,
section.
I'm going to do this bit. So we're on to the final three of a nine-part series. Please don't worry if you missed the previous sessions. We will be making all of them available as PDFs, but also we'll put the recordings onto the Creative Careers platform, and that will be happening next week. You can also contact us, and we'll email you the PDFs earlier than that if you'd like them as well. So this is engaging with customers. Session 2. Oh, here we've got a few people joining, Elaine. I'll let them in. Okay, thank you. Can you move there? So today we're going to talk about creating a marketing plan. Yesterday we talked about the marketing mix, and today we're really talking about making a marketing plan. So you've identified the things that are important about your marketing and how you do it, and then you actually put it into action and make a forward-thinking plan about when you're going to do it and how you're going to do it and things like that. So we're going to talk about applying the marketing mix to your business, making a plan as an example, and some worksheets of how to do that. And also Elaine's got some examples of kind of how people have done this for themselves and kind of the kind of marketing they've done. Thank you. So as always, our support sessions are based on the Nesta Creative Enterprise Toolkit. I will put a link to this in the session when I stop talking. But what we recommend is to download this. We use it as the starting point, and we kind of do a précis, a shortened version of it. But if you download this, you can download it for free. It's really, really useful. It's got all of the detail and the content that we're using. Thanks, Elaine. So this is the final section, engaging with customers and staying in business. Thanks, Elaine. So we're talking about marketing plan, and the things you're going to need to think about, things you need to think about with this are what was on the previous slide. But essentially, marketing plan is when you're thinking about, okay, you've decided what your marketing strategy is, and you think about what do I want to achieve with it and why. So, do you want to increase customers? Do you want to find out who your customers are? Do you want to maintain engagement with existing customers? So there's a strategy behind it, and then you decide actually how you're going to do it, which means you can action your plan and then record and see how it works. The things necessary to be aware of with the marketing plan are the vision and mission statement. And this was something we talked about right at the beginning of this program. So if you didn't come to the first few sessions, don't worry. The vision and mission statement was covered in the second session. And we can send you the PDF for that. There's also information about it in the Nesta Enterprise Toolkit. You also will need to do a SWOT analysis of your business idea, and that's the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That's also covered in earlier stages. Then you're going to talk about marketing objectives, marketing strategies, which includes what we were talking about yesterday, and implementing your plan and controlling and measuring it. So these are the kind of what you need to do to actually action it. Thanks, Elaine. So we talked already about a vision mission statement, a SWOT analysis, but marketing objectives need to be SMART. You've probably heard of that already. Like that means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and relating to time. So for example, you might say, okay, I'm going to improve my marketing and make a marketing plan because I'd like to increase my sales by 10%. I'm regularly selling, 25 prints a week, and I'd like to be selling 30 prints a week or 40 prints a week. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to say when you're going to do it by and what the timing of it is. And marketing strategy is also informed by the 7 Ps of the marketing mix, which we spoke about yesterday. Again, if you missed that yesterday, we can send you the presentation. And they are also on the next slide as well. I think, yeah. So the marketing mix sections, which we talked about before, which inform your marketing plan, are the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. And they're the essential ones that we went through in detail. When then your business becomes more developed, you're also going to think about people, as in yourself and the people that work with you and work around you, the process and your processes of how you work, and also the physical environment that you interact with customers in. Thanks, Elaine. So here's an example of a completed marketing plan. And we've got the worksheets for this, one of the worksheets that you can download from the Nesta Creative Enterprise Toolkit. And this is where somebody's going, okay, I'm going to launch a company newsletter. I want to have a newsletter. I think that's quite interesting. It means that when customers sign up for it, they really are interested in what we do. And I'm going to do it by a certain date, and the certain person's going to do it. There's a budget attached to this. If you're working in a very small company, there is still a budget attached to marketing, because when you are spending time doing marketing, you're not actually making any money because you're not selling anything. So you do actually need to still include it in your finances. So even if it's just you doing the marketing, still attach a little bit of budget to that, relating to the amount of hours that you will spend doing it and what you want to be paying yourself an hour. And they're going to review the feedback from customers. So that's the company newsletter. They want to launch an email campaign. Maybe they're advertising something particular. They've got a date for that. They said when they're going to do it. They've thought about the budget, get a response from customers, and they're going to get involved in an exhibition in Edinburgh. And they're going to, how much is that going to cost? So this might be equivalent if you were going to take your product to a craft market, or maybe you're going to a trade fair and you're going to have a stand and things like that. So you'd include their expenses, and hopefully it's going to increase your sales. So there's always a kind of budget attached to marketing, whether it's your time or the cost of materials or the cost of an advert, that kind of thing. And then you're thinking about, okay, what do I get from it? What's it worth? Thanks, Elaine. You might decide, essentially, a marketing plan helps you identify exactly how and when and where you're going to market your product, and how much the promotion activity is going to cost. There's a worksheet template on the next slide that you can download afterwards and help and use. So this is really clear. It kind of helps you identify when you're going to do things, who's going to do it, and that might well just be you that's going to do all of it. But actually thinking about, why are you doing it? When are you going to do it? What's it for? And your marketing plans are going to be very specific and relate to what you're doing and what your business is about. Thanks, Elaine. And essentially, it doesn't have to be complicated, but you can't just kind of be vague about marketing. You do need a plan. You do need to think about where you're marketing, when, how long it's going to take you, and actually specifically what you're hoping to get out of it, to make sure it's a valuable use of your time and it's like beneficial to your business. Thanks, Elaine. Okay, now over to Elaine.
That's great.
Thank you.
So yeah, absolutely. And joining on from this previous slide about, why do you need that marketing plan or that marketing strategy? Well, people need to find you, don't they? That's the key thing. You can be super talented, like we spoke about yesterday's session, but actually if people don't know you exist, or you can't find your audience, then there can be a problem there in terms of being able to get enough business in, or sell enough products, or whatever it might be, of how you need to connect to your customer. So we're going to sort of break that down a little bit and look at it in a bit more detail. So what you need to do is essentially create a sort of marketable offer. Okay, so it moves beyond, I'm a graphic designer, I produce, branding, or I produce a sort of an object, maybe a ceramic, it might be a print or a piece of clothing. But you want to turn that into something that's sort of marketable. And that's where that sort of brand story comes into play, and so you need clarity around the 3 points here. So what you create, what problem or desire it meets, and who's it for. So you're not just saying something like, I'm a photographer. You would identify that and say, I help small businesses look professional online through brand photography. Another one, I gave you the example, I make ceramics. I create handmade mugs for people who value slow, sustainable homeware. You might have certain techniques that you use, or you're really renowned for being influenced by perhaps seasonal colors in your local landscape or something like that. So you're really trying to create a story and a value. And we look at that sort of middle number 2. What's the problem or desire that it meets? And I think that really helps to create. Yeah.
Can I just jump in?
Yeah.
This is where, when you write your values and your mission statement, you can use them to advertise. So you use them to say what you're going to do and who it's for, but also you can use them in your marketing. Sorry, I'll be quiet now.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So really think about that. How do you sort of sell yourself, your story, and communicate that to the right audience? So it's understanding your audience. So it's sort of thinking, okay, I'm not going to market to everyone. Not everyone will love my products. Not everyone will buy them. Not everyone will want my service, but some people will. And it's finding that right match and that right fit. So it's thinking about, okay, who can I target and trying to appeal to that very specific audience. And when you're first starting out, which most people today on the session today will be at that stage, start simply, start at one point, and then that can develop and expand, because your business probably will develop and expand, because that's the nature of businesses. They grow, they develop. But starting somewhere small is a really good place to begin with. So sort of choosing one main audience, and you might want to consider those things like the age, the lifestyle, the interest, values, maybe where they hang out, where are they likely to be in terms of social media, where do they spend their free time, where will they have access to your service or your product. What's their lifestyle, why they already spend time, where they already spend time online, as I said, why they might care about the kind of creative work that you might produce. So, for example, a final year design student who wants affordable portfolio photography for job applications. So who's your audience? Where do you want to start? And think about, sort of 2 key points from that. So you don't have to be everywhere. It's about thinking to yourself, what are the main things? Well, number one, you need a place where people can discover you. Okay. So that might be the local sort of craft market. It might be Instagram, TikTok. It might be, a kind of an exhibition, depending on, what your business is. So it's where can they discover you? And then where can they learn more about you and potentially buy from you? So there's 2 kind of key points there to think about. How do I connect to my audience, and how do I then enable them to actually purchase from me? So I'm going to give you an example now. It's not the most dynamic, exciting example, I'm afraid. I'll tell you, give you upfront information, but it's real life. So this weekend, I went to visit my mum. She lives in a small village. She needed an electrician. Something had gone wrong with her shower, and they produce her local village produces a book. They advertise local services, events, things like that. So I looked in this local book. I found an electrician. I then went online. He had an advert. I went online. I kind of saw that they had some nice reviews, a website, so I was able to contact them, see what kind of work they do. They came round and they fixed the problem. And he's just one person. He runs his own business. He's local. Now, from that, I will continue to work with him. If there's any problems, we now have somebody that we can go to. So that one advert has now converted me into a sort of a lifetime customer, a long-term customer for him. So if the advert cost him perhaps 20 or 30 pounds, that one job that he did for me paid for that advert, and now I'm going to be coming back to him more regularly. He's local, that's his value. He was able to empathize with my mum in that situation because she's older and on her own, and it feels like supporting a local community. Okay, so it's, the person rather than just feeling like you're a number, for example, if I'd contacted a large organization. So there's lots of things in that experience. And even though I understand it's not the most exciting example to show you, it is real life. It was an advert, it converted through to a customer, and now that's a long-term relationship. And word of mouth as well, I would recommend this person. So we're going to look at long-term.
Can I jump in? The other thing that's happening here is that Elaine is now talking positively about that electrician to a new group of people. Yeah. And that is the best marketing that you can get, because actually that part of the marketing, the word of mouth, doesn't actually cost anything. So, that you want people to be talking positively about you or your business or how good it is when you're not there. That's about your reputation. Sorry,
yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you.
So in our next session, we'll talk a little bit about what that means in terms of a lifetime sort of value of a customer, the customer acquisition, and then retaining that customer, the retention. So I just wanted to mention that now. So a really simple kind of starter marketing strategy could be, if we look at this example, the offer. So what I'm selling right now, what is it that I'm selling, a service or a product? Who is my main audience? Who's it for? And then we look at the 2 channels. So that's where am I visible? Where can they find me? And then the second channel, which is where I'll send people next. So, where can they find me? How can they connect with me and learn more about me or buy from me, for example? So you might like to think about, where are you now? Are you at that stage? Do you have an Etsy shop, or perhaps you've got something on Instagram that you sell, or you're thinking about it? So what's that one small step that you could do next? It could be something like setting up a basic Instagram sort of bio with a clear description. You might want to photograph some work by a domain name, or just create a simple sort of about me section. So what are those two channels? Where will they find me? And then how will they connect and learn more about me and buy from me?
A really good example of this is if you follow someone on Instagram, and maybe it's a company, and they might say, oh, put your name, put your email details in the chat, and you get an opportunity to win an award or a discount. Basically, what they're doing in that situation is recognizing that you're engaging with them, and then they're collecting your contact details so they can send you a newsletter. Because direct mail, where somebody said, I'm very interested in this, is the best way of retaining customers. When you put something on Instagram, it's kind of going out into the world, and some of your followers will see it, some of them won't, some of them will like it, some of them won't. But if you actually write a newsletter and have a newsletter email list, that's a very direct contact, because people have said, yes, I want to sign up for your newsletter, I'm interested in what you're doing. And that's one way of retaining customers. Carry on, Elaine.
Sorry, just hold on a moment. There's a lot of noise going on in the background. Just bear with me a moment. I just need to close my door.
Okay. So while Elaine's gone, I'll just carry on talking. So this is Lucy and Yak, which is an example. And this is an example of a very small company that started in Brighton, and now they have stores in quite a lot of university cities. Actually, there's one in Canterbury. I mean, it started off really, really, really tiny, and they were just kind of talking about their storytelling, the fact that the product was sustainable. They were just making dungarees, and it was very value led. And now it's a much larger company, but essentially they talk about their values, they talk about their sustainability, they talk about the ethics of who they employ and all that kind of thing. And, you know, they're kind of leaders in the idea of inclusivity and comfortable clothing and sustainable fabrics. Anything else you wanted to add, Elaine?
Yeah, just that, you know, at the beginning, which is maybe where you will be, you know, they didn't start out with big budgets or, you know, specific people working on it. So what they did is they did something very authentic in terms of their storytelling. And they did that sort of showing behind the scenes, showing the making process. And that really helped to build and create a very kind of authentic sort of connection to their customers, of people who would be interested. So again, it doesn't have to be a big investment. It's just about being something that really shows those values that we talked about right at the beginning for your business, that people would be interested in. So understanding your audience, as we said, thinking, you know, who is that specific audience? It's not just out to anyone. It's very much about sort of thinking, you know, what's my USP? What is, you know, what do I want to put out there that makes me unique? So some examples could be Crooked Colours Studios. Their target audience is young, socially aware UK consumers who care about ethical fashion, a little bit like the brand before. You know, so it's not just marketing to anyone. They've got a very clear, direct idea of who their customer is and kind of what the values are of those customers and why they might shop with them. UK photographers starting out, they might think, okay, I'm going to start locally, you know, here in Epsom where I'm based. You know, maybe I'll target just Surrey, that surrounding area, and start with really small businesses. You might start off working with something like promotional images for local musicians or students that need headshots for their portfolios or their LinkedIn profile. So it's targeting in and understanding your audience and thinking, am I selling locally, nationally, internationally? You know, where might my customers be and how might I target them? So understanding kind of where your customers essentially live and what their lifestyle habits are. And that's when we kind of look at like customer profiling in some of the previous sessions that we spoke about. So again, thinking back to that sort of two-way process, we can look at some of these examples. So, you know, what are those two sort of stages? So it's the discovery, how do they discover you, and then the conversion. So if we look at, say, ceramics, for example, you might say they discover you on Instagram and maybe doing workshops as well. Locally, it's quite popular now. Lots of places have ceramic workshops. And then they convert to a website or maybe a studio sale. So discovery and conversion, where do they, where are you going to find you? And then how do they learn more about you and buy from you? If you're a musician, performer, it might again be Instagram reels, and then conversion, they'll come to gigs or mailing lists, things like that. Illustrations designers, very much the same. It might start out something that's, from social media, but then it will convert to that website for the portfolio and inquiries. And I regularly do that. If I like a brand, I'll have a look at their main website and then might sign up to a newsletter. And remember, it's about not necessarily getting a huge amount of followers, but the right followers, targeting in on a strategy that works for you and an audience that works for you. So as a really simple plan, you could think, okay, what's my offer? So what am I selling right now? My audience, who will value it most? That discovery channel, where will they find me? And then how will I lead them to the next step? So will it be a website, a shop, a contact form, direct message? So what's that kind of next stage to get them from discovery to sort of converting to a customer, or maybe somebody that might sign up to that newsletter, and you can be more focused in on them. So again, it might be something that you could think about for yourself. Maybe it's that next step of creating, a really simple page that's going to help customers find you, an about you page. You might want to set up a specific social media account, or maybe even an Etsy shop or something like that, or not on the high street, although you have to apply for that, I think. So what are your next actionable steps? And if you think about that sort of 1 to 4, I think, where are you at with that now? And what might you need to do to create that next stage? So again, sort of thinking, it's okay if you're sort of unsure, you're just starting out, that's normal, but it's about converting that and thinking, right, okay, what are my next steps? How can I translate what I've got at the moment into a marketing plan, something that can be actioned, and you can actually put sort of, as Lucy said earlier, sort of timelines on it. Really simple structure. So we can use this. I think this is quite helpful. If we look at on the sort of left-hand side, 4. So who's my target market? Who? The compelling need or opportunity. So, why would they need to come for you? What kind of opportunity are you offering them? Product or service, so what category it fits into. That statement of benefit, what outcome they get. So this is really important. Why are they buying for you? Okay, and if we cross over to the side, we can see that on the other side, as an example, it's that it might help clients communicate their message clearly, look more professional, grow their audience with consistent impact or visual. So this is somebody that's perhaps creating graphics or branding for a potential customer. So as I gave you the example before, what benefit might I have had by choosing this local electrician? Well, they're local and, it's working. For me, benefit is that I'm supporting a local business. So I really love that, rather than perhaps a large organization. Also, I know that they have empathy for my mum, who's a bit older and lives in the local community. So lots of things there around, what's that benefit that they're getting from buying from you or connecting to you, or wanting to work with you. So again, what's that USP? What makes you different? It might be that, you don't, your service is more personalized, so it's less generic. Because of proof. So that's the evidence, experience, credentials approach. So that might be, again, because I will offer you perhaps, I can offer you work that I've worked with lots of small companies, or I work with, I sell products that are limited edition. So, if you're buying it as a gift, it's going to be something quite special. So there's a really clear structure there that might be quite helpful for you to think about, and some examples on the other side. I'm slightly rushing through because I know we're coming to time. So if we look at this example, we could think, okay, we've got a graphic design studio, an independent graphic design studio. It's just a solo person. They're doing branding and visual identity. They're UK based, and they work with sort of small, medium companies. They're very early stage, only 1 to 2 years in business. What's their challenge in terms of marketing and creating a marketing plan and a strategy? Well, the designer relied heavily on word of mouth and inconsistent freelance platforms. We kind of know sometimes there's lots of competition out there on things like Upworks. That's a kind of freelance platform. So it led to unpredictable income and kind of weak brand positioning. So what were their objectives? Well, they said, look, we really need to increase our brand visibility locally. And we need to attract higher value clients. So clients that want to stay for longer, come back to us and are more profitable, and reduce reliance on freelance marketplaces like Upworks. And so they target audience with small business owners, retail, hospitality and wellness locally, startups needing branding and logo. So they'd really clearly identified what their problem was, their objectives of what they wanted to go for in terms of marketing, their target audience, and then their strategy was to position the studio as a local branding specialist for growth, for growth-focused small businesses. So they were really clear on that. The tactics were to do content marketing. So they were going to do weekly Instagram posts showcasing before and after branding projects, monthly blog posts, branding tips for small businesses. So they're really targeting in on that sort of small business and that sort of localized community. They did local search engine optimization. So they optimized Google business profile. They encouraged past clients to leave reviews. So they really tried to hone in on that sort of local element, which I gave you the example today, didn't I, of the electrician and that kind of word of mouth as well. Partnerships, collaboration with 2 local web developers for cross-reference. Really recommend this if you're starting out. Is there anyone else that you can partner with that might be able to sort of send business back and forth? We all want that word of mouth and recommendation, and we know reviews work really well. This is a lead magnet, and this is actually what Lucy mentioned earlier. When you sign up to that sort of e-newsletter, or they say, hey, if you're interested in this, we can give you a free download and you can learn a little bit more about it. So in this case, it was, is your brand costing you customers? So it's a free download, and it gives them a taste and a flavor. And then if they're interested, they can come back and do more work with, perhaps employ them to do some work as graphic designers. And they said, look, this is what happened. The results after 6 months, they increased their website traffic. They got 3 to 4 more inquiries per week. And previously they'd only had 1 to 2. And the average project value increased by 30%. So they were getting better customers in terms of being more long-term and better paying customers. What were the key learnings? Well, they had clear positioning, and they recognized that educational content builds trust faster than self-promotion alone. So there was lots of things in that. I've raced through it really quickly, but hopefully some of it will resonate with you and make sense. So it's about planning. What's my challenge? Where are my gaps? What am I aiming for? Who's my target audience? And what's my strategy? How am I going to go about it? So hopefully you can sort of start thinking about where you are now and where you might want to go moving forward. Lucy, do you want to jump in with anything? Yeah. So now I've raced through a lot.
No, that's okay. So as you can see, there's the information that's from Creative, the Nesta Creative Careers Enterprise Challenge. There's all that information. There's various examples as a worksheet that you can have a go at filling in for yourself. The final support session is tomorrow, which is about understanding cash flow. So this is the last one. And then on Friday, we have our session about how to enter the Creative Careers Launchpad Challenge, which is how to enter the competition where you could win £1,000. This is information about that. We're already doing the sessions. You see there, it's a series of in-depth support sessions. We've nearly finished those. Next week, we're going to have some online one-to-one support sessions that you can come to as well. When you enter with a short video, and the deadline is after the final handing of summer term. So it means that if you're a third year and you're entering, you will still get time after your final deadline to kind of put together an entry if you're interested in winning some money. Thanks, Elaine. With that competition, there are 3 guidelines, 3 categories that we use as guidelines, and these are helpful for anyone thinking about their business as well.
We'll go into them in detail.
We'll go into the detail, yeah. So I'm going over time, but yes, keep going, Elaine. Thank you. This is kind of the general brief of entering the competition. Essentially, what you're doing is a presentation about your brilliant business idea, and you showcase that through a short video, but we'll talk about that more on Friday.
Yeah.
And if you haven't signed up for the session tomorrow or the session on Friday, here's the QR code. We also have sent out links to all students and lots of graduates this week as well. Does anyone have any questions? Equally, I've put the link to the Nesta Creative Careers Toolkit in the chat. I've also put my email, and Elaine will put her email. If you've missed previous sessions and you want us to send you the PDFs and the PowerPoints, please let us know. They will also, as I said, next week, all of that will go onto the Creative Careers platform, and you'll also be able to access the videos of this as well. Anyone got any questions? Okay, thank you. Thanks for joining. Hope it was helpful. If you just joined today and you're thinking, what on earth is going on, please reach out and have the previous sessions and we can send them to you, and it makes a lot more sense because it is part of a program. Okay, thanks so much. Hopefully see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.